Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't just the most unstoppable scorer ever, he was so dominant the NCAA literally banned dunking to slow him down, and he still crushed everyone with skill alone. Off the court, he trained with Bruce Lee, fought cancer twice, acted in Airplane, and finished his career with exactly one made three-pointer in 18 tries. When a player forces rule changes, crosses into pop culture, and outlasts entire eras, the only real question becomes who was brave enough to challenge him. Number 1. Moses Malone. When people talk about players who truly tested Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Moses Malone always comes up, and not by accident. Their relationship was never friendly, never relaxed, and never based on admiration during games. It started in the late 1970s when Moses came into his prime as a center who played with non-stop force. Kareem was smooth, precise, and surgical. Moses was heavy, relentless, and exhausting. From the first few matchups, it was clear Moses did not fear Kareem's skyhook or his reputation. He attacked him physically on every possession, made every rebound a fight, and forced Kareem to work harder than he was used to working. Moses challenged Kareem in a way few big men ever did, by refusing to give him space or comfort. He stayed on Kareem's body, pushed him off his spots, and punished him on second and third efforts. Kareem was used to controlling games with timing and touch, but Moses dragged him into battles decided by strength and endurance. That tension only grew as both teams met in meaningful games, especially once Moses joined contenders and their paths crossed in the playoffs. The 1981 NBA playoffs turned that tension into a real rivalry. Moses was playing for the Houston Rockets, a team that barely made the postseason with a 40-42 record. The Lakers were defending champions and heavy favorites. Kareem was still dominant, and most people expected the series to be short. Moses did not care about expectations. In Game 1, he scored 38 points and pulled down 23 rebounds, overpowering Kareem inside and setting the tone immediately. Every rebound felt like a personal statement. Houston won that game, and suddenly the series felt different. Across the 3-game series, Moses averaged over 31 points and nearly 18 rebounds, numbers that reflected how much control he had over the paint. Kareem still scored, but he was clearly under pressure. Moses kept drawing fouls, kept crashing the boards, and kept forcing the Lakers to react to him. In the deciding Game 3 played in Los Angeles, Moses stayed aggressive until the final buzzer. The Rockets won by 3 points, shocking the Lakers and ending their title defense. That series stayed attached to Kareem's legacy because it showed a center who could outwork him when it mattered most. That upset was not a one-time thing. When Moses later joined the Philadelphia 76ers, the history between him and Kareem came with him. Philadelphia had already lost to the Lakers in the finals twice, and they made it clear why they traded for Moses. They wanted someone who could deal with Kareem head-on. Moses knew it too. He played the role with confidence and edge, never backing down, never easing up, and never hiding his intent. The 1983 NBA Finals became the peak of their rivalry. Moses was at full strength and Kareem was still productive but older. From the opening game, Moses controlled the series with rebounding and physical pressure. He consistently beat Kareem to the ball, forcing him into fouls and wore him down possession after possession. Over the series, Moses out-rebounded Kareem by a massive margin, turning missed shots into extra points and punishment. The Lakers had no answer inside. Philadelphia swept the series in 4 games, and Moses earned Finals MVP. The sweep mattered because it flipped the story of their earlier Finals matchups. Moses had done exactly what he was brought in to do: neutralize Kareem through effort and force. Number 2. Larry Bird. Larry Bird entered the NBA at a strange moment for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when Kareem was already a legend and Bird arrived without waiting for permission. Kareem had 6 MVPs, a ring, and a reputation that demanded silence from opponents. Bird showed up in 1979 with no fear, no filter, and a sharp edge that rubbed Kareem the wrong way almost immediately. Their relationship never started with respect on the floor. It started with irritation, with Bird constantly moving, talking, cutting, and forcing Kareem to react to things he usually controlled. By the time the Celtics and Lakers met in the 1984 NBA Finals, the rivalry had sharpened into something personal. This was not just Boston versus Los Angeles, it was Bird constantly testing Kareem's authority on the biggest stage. Every possession carried weight. Bird pulled Kareem into defensive decisions he did not enjoy, forcing switches, forcing help, forcing movement. Kareem answered by demanding the ball deeper, by scoring early, and by reminding everyone that dominance still belonged to him. Game 4 of that series showed exactly how they challenged each other. Boston was down 2-1 and coming off a brutal loss. Bird tore into his own teammates after Game 3, calling them soft and questioning their pride. That pressure changed the tone. Kareem responded with force, scoring 32 points and controlling stretches of the game with anger and precision. He dunked through contact and stared down the floor, making his message clear. Bird refused to blink. He finished with 29 points and 21 rebounds, crashing into bigger bodies, tipping balls away, and making plays when legs were tired. Late in the game, with the score tight, Bird's rebounding and positioning kept Boston alive. In overtime, the Celtics took control, and the series shifted. That game tied everything at 2 and became the emotional center of the finals. Kareem later spoke about Bird in a way that revealed deep respect mixed with frustration. He said people never appreciated Bird enough, calling attention to the muscle between his ears. Kareem understood that Bird wore teams down by always being in the right place. Bird scored when needed, passed when defenders leaned, and rebounded as if the ball belonged to him by instinct. That mental pressure forced Kareem to stay sharp every second. Their duel was not about blocking shots or chasing stats. Bird was never a shot-blocking presence like Kareem, who finished his career as the league's all-time leader in blocks. Bird challenged Kareem with anticipation, angles, and timing. He slipped into passing lanes, took charges, and forced turnovers that did not show up as battles in the paint, but hurt just as much. Over multiple finals, their numbers piled up together, points, rebounds, and moments that tilted series, even as Kareem passed Wilt Chamberlain as the all-time scoring leader during that era. Bird was collecting MVP trophies and pushing the Celtics forward. When they met again in 1987, Kareem was older but still dangerous. Responding to struggles with calm adjustments, Bird answered with scoring bursts and relentless movement, refusing to give ground as the Lakers reclaimed control. And the tension between them never softened, never cooled, and never fully released. Number 3. Elvin Hayes. Elvin Hayes entered basketball with a chip already on his shoulder, long before Kareem Abdul-Jabbar ever wore a Lakers jersey. He grew up tough, learned to rely on his own scoring, and carried himself like someone who expected resistance every night. By the time he reached the University of Houston, he was already known as a relentless scorer and rebounder who played with visible anger. Kareem, still known as Lou Alcindor, represented the opposite image, polished, dominant, and protected by an aura of inevitability. Their collision felt unavoidable. That collision arrived on January 20th, 1968 inside the Astrodome, in a game that did not feel like college basketball even before the tip. UCLA entered unbeaten, riding a 47-game winning streak, with Alcindor already treated like a myth. Hayes treated him like an opponent. From the opening possession, Hayes attacked relentlessly, hitting jumpers, battling inside, and refusing to shrink under the spotlight. He finished with 39 points and 15 rebounds, outworking Alcindor and leading Houston to a 71-69 win. UCLA's streak ended, and Hayes walked off the floor knowing he had cracked something larger than a scoreboard. That night shaped their relationship forever. Hayes later said the game gave him a chance to dim Kareem's star and let his own shine, and he never softened his stance. Even with Alcindor playing through a scratched cornea, Hayes never adjusted his intensity. He played like the moment belonged to him, and the basketball world treated it that way. The rivalry did not end when college jerseys came off. It followed them both directly to the NBA. Hayes entered the league as the #1 overall pick in 1968, bringing the same heavy minutes and heavy production to the San Diego Rockets, and later to the Washington Bullets. Kareem arrived 1 year later and quickly became the league's defining force. When they met, Hayes never deferred. He posted up, hit his turnaround jumper over either shoulder, stepped out to hit face-up shots, and fought on the glass every night. Kareem often had the statistical edge, but Hayes made every matchup physical and uncomfortable. What separated Hayes was durability. He played 1,303 regular season games out of a possible 1,312 and never missed a single playoff game. Night after night, season after season, he was there. Kareem eventually passed Hayes for most minutes played in NBA history, a moment that quietly tied their careers together again. Hayes had set the standard for endurance, and Kareem broke it by lasting even longer. The overlap between them spanned more than a decade of elite basketball. Hayes bristled at criticism, especially claims that he lacked championships. In 1978, after winning a title with Washington, he pushed back publicly, saying no one had been more consistent, not even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It was not trash talk, it was a declaration rooted in years of production. Over that 10-year stretch, Hayes averaged nearly 24 points and close to 15 rebounds, numbers that stood alongside Kareem's own dominant lines. Hayes did not claim to be better, he claimed to be just as present. Even late into their careers, the comparison followed them. Kareem passing Hayes for minutes played in 1986 felt symbolic, like the final chapter of a shared road that started under a dome in Houston. Hayes had challenged Kareem at the beginning, challenged him through the grind of the league, challenged him with consistency, and challenged him with pride, and the tension never really dissolved. It simply faded into time without ever being settled. Number 4. Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was one of the first players who truly challenged Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not just on the court but emotionally and publicly. Their relationship did not begin as enemies. When Kareem was young, Wilt welcomed him, mentored him, and showed him the life of an NBA superstar. That early bond mattered because it made the rivalry personal later. As Kareem grew into his own identity, their views on success, leadership, and responsibility started to separate. That difference slowly turned respect into tension, and the competition became deeper than basketball. On the floor, the challenge was real and physical from the beginning. They faced each other during a strange overlap of eras, with Wilt aging and Kareem rising fast. The 1972 Western Conference Finals captured that clash perfectly. Wilt was 35, carrying injuries and years of battles. Yet he focused everything on stopping Kareem. He blocked Kareem's skyhook 17 times in that series, including 5 blocks in a single game. It shocked everyone watching. Kareem scored more overall, but Wilt controlled the paint with timing, strength, and anger. That night defined how seriously Wilt still took the rivalry personally. Despite those blocks, Kareem kept coming and never backed away from Wilt. He used movement instead of brute force, running the floor and forcing Wilt to chase. Kareem later explained that Wilt struggled guarding mobile players, and he leaned into that weakness. During one heated game, Wilt threw a punch at Kareem that missed. Kareem said he was not angry and that referees did not see it, so play continued. Moments like that showed how much emotion Wilt carried when facing Kareem. That tension never faded, even when their teams changed and roles shifted. Age only sharpened it over time. The rivalry did not stop when the games ended. As Kareem kept winning titles and awards, Wilt grew louder. When Kareem passed Wilt as the all-time scoring leader in April 1984, the moment was public and symbolic. The Lakers honored Kareem before a game, and Wilt was there, smiling for cameras. Behind the scenes, the bitterness remained. Wilt often criticized Kareem's impact and called him the weak link on championship teams. Kareem responded by pointing to rings, longevity, and his ability to help teams win. He never hid his confidence during interviews or public debates about his place there. Books and interviews made the feud sharper instead of calmer. Wilt questioned Kareem's scoring, rebounding, and passing, framing himself as the more dominant force. Kareem answered with words that cut deeper, once calling Wilt a loser and attacking his character. Kareem said his versatility made him a better player, explaining that he scored, passed, defended, and moved within a system. Fans picked sides and argued endlessly. There were moments when respect almost resurfaced. In January 1972, the Bucks faced the Lakers during their famous 33-game winning streak. Kareem remembered Wilt as a childhood hero before that night. Now they stood across as rivals with different values and paths. Kareem had become a champion and activist, grounded and disciplined. Wilt represented an older version built on fame and physical dominance. The game was intense, heavy, and personal. Even without words, every rebound and post move carried history between them. Nothing felt casual whenever their eyes met on the floor that night again and again afterward. Time never softened the edge between Wilt and Kareem. They met 28 times, traded wins, and carried age and context into every matchup. Wilt aged out as Kareem peaked, and that imbalance fed resentment. Kareem's skyhook became untouchable as Wilt stepped away. The scoring record fell in 1984, and history shifted publicly. Wilt watched the league celebrate Kareem while his own era faded. Number 5. Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon entered the league with a reputation as a winner, a defender, and a player who could dominate without chasing attention. By the mid-80s, he already had Defensive Player of the Year level impact, elite footwork, and rare stamina for a center. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, on the other hand, was basketball royalty by then, built around the skyhook and 2 decades of control. When Hakeem met Kareem, it was never about replacing him. It was about disrupting him in ways very few ever managed. Their tension became real during the 1986 Western Conference Finals. Kareem was older but still lethal, leading the Lakers through experience and precision. Hakeem was younger, faster, and more restless, always moving, always probing. From the opening games, Hakeem refused to let Kareem settle. He crowded his space, attacked his timing, and challenged shots from angles Kareem was not used to seeing. Hakeem became one of the rare defenders who could block the skyhook, often coming from Kareem's blind side with perfect anticipation. Hakeem openly admitted how dangerous that move still was. He said if Kareem got into his routine, nobody could stop him, and that he could turn on his skyhook against anybody in the league. That respect shaped how Houston defended him. They never treated Kareem like a normal matchup. Every possession was planned to force discomfort, movement, and fatigue, not pride battles in the post. The Rockets made it bigger than one-on-one by using the Twin Towers. Hakeem at center and Ralph Sampson at power forward forced Kareem to defend 2 elite big men every trip. If Kareem stayed near the rim, Sampson attacked from the mid-range. If Kareem stepped out, Hakeem cut, spun, and ran the floor. Kareem was still scoring, but the effort was heavier than usual. Hakeem's athleticism changed the rhythm of those games, his footwork shaped by years of soccer, allowing him to spin, recover, steal, and contest without planting. Kareem relied on angles and balance. Hakeem relied on motion and pressure. That contrast wore on the Lakers over the series. Game after game, Houston's rebounding and combined scoring kept pace with Kareem's production. Even when Hakeem was ejected in Game 5, the pressure he helped create stayed alive. Sampson's last-second shot ended the series, but the challenge belonged to the structure Hakeem led. Every possession felt heavier, louder, and sharper for Kareem nightly. Number 6. Bill Walton. Bill Walton stepped into Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's world carrying intelligence, stubborn pride, and a team-first mind that never backed down. They shared UCLA roots and John Wooden's discipline. But once they faced each other in the NBA, friendship stayed outside the lines. Walton came in knowing he could not stop him straight up, so he chose a different fight. Walton's challenge started with defense that relied on thinking, not strength alone. He knew Kareem had no weak spots, so his goal was simple and brutal. Make him take a shot he did not want to take. Walton fronted him, leaned on timing, and trusted help defense. Coach Jack Ramsey built a system where Kareem never felt alone in the post. Hands came from everywhere. Passing lanes closed fast. Kareem was pushed further from the rim than he liked, and that alone felt like pressure. The tension exploded in the 1977 Western Conference Finals. The Lakers were favored, and Kareem was still putting up huge numbers. Portland did not care. Walton ran the offense, passed out of the post, defended every inch, and kept the Blazers connected. Game after game, the Lakers looked frustrated. Kareem scored, but the rhythm was gone. Portland swept Los Angeles 4-0, and the league did not see it coming. One moment stayed frozen in time. Walton rose and dunked over Kareem, clean and direct, no celebration. People called it a passing of the torch, even if Kareem did not agree. Later, Kareem said the press acted like he had been humiliated, all because of one dunk. Still, he admitted the sweep stung, and he later described that series by saying his baby brother had humbled him. Walton's physical effort surprised Kareem the most. Despite looking thin, Walton was strong, relentless, and always moving. Kareem later said Walton was one of the strongest players he ever faced. Walton never stopped running, never stopped talking on defense, never stopped cutting. Kareem had to work on every possession, offense and defense, which was rare. Years later, Walton explained how hopeless it sometimes felt guarding Kareem. He said he just tried to make him take a shot he did not want to take, but sometimes it seemed like there wasn't one. That honesty defined their battles. Walton never pretended he owned Kareem. He believed in wearing him down through teamwork. People still ask if Kareem versus Walton was the great lost rivalry. Injuries took Walton away too soon. But for that stretch, the challenge was real. Kareem later reflected on Walton with warmth, calling him a rival, a brother, and a close friend when UCLA honored him. Yet on the floor, respect did not soften the edge. Which of these players challenged Kareem the most in your opinion? Comment below and subscribe for more basketball stories.